rich man's wife became terminally ill the night before Christmas in 1798, so he prayed for the doctor. When the doctor arrived, his wife had just died, or so it seemed. Her husband was so sad that he locked himself in his room and did not attend the funeral the next day. The servants of the house carried the body of the rich woman to the vicar, who in a drunken stupor held the ceremony quickly. The veil was pulled over her face, the stone lid of her tomb was lowered, and the iron lattice locked. Just before the priesthood fell asleep later that evening, he remembered the beautiful emerald ring on the finger of the woman he had put to rest. Wanting the ring and thinking no one would find out, he went downstairs, unlocked the lid, opened it and tried to pry off the ring. It would not move. He ran and brought back a plier to cut the ring off her finger. When this did not work, he just cut off her finger instead and pulled the ring off. As he walked, he turned to pick up the iron lid, but from what he saw, he froze and screamed at the top of his lungs, dropped the ring and ran. Because the woman had woken up, moaned and held the severed finger against him, with what looked like an evil smile on her face. The woman had nothing but her fine silk dress and went back to her home, knocked on the door, and rang the bell, but to no avail. The servants had all gone to bed, for it was late on Christmas Eve. So she lifted a heavy stone, threw it against a man's window and waited. He came to the window with a sad look on his face. Suddenly, to her surprise, he shouted, "Go away. Why do you have to torture me like that? Do you not know that my wife just died? Let me grieve and not get bothered again." With this he closed the window. He did not realize that it was his wife who had thrown the rock against the window. She repeated her actions and threw another stone at the window. He opened the window again, and she shouted at him, "I am none other than your so-called dead wife. Now come down here and open this door, unless you want me to die again outside my own home." "You're a ghost then?" he said to her. She said, "No, for ghost does not bleed. Come here now, before I really die from this cold." The man with a happy look on his face came down to meet his wife and took her in where he called the doctor and told him the good news. Meanwhile, the clergy ran home and up the stairs. And filled with grief and guilt, he hung himself from the bars of his home. If only he had known that the woman only wanted to thank him for saving her from a terrible ending in the tomb. After all, she had not died, but had gone into a coma. When he cut off her finger, the pain had woken her from a terrible nightmare.